Welcome, everyone. My name is Carla Renteria. I'm Team Alphabet Marketing Developer Manager. Today, we're in the manufacturing session at the Google Cloud Manufacturers Summit. I have the honor to be with two of our subject matter experts, Charlie Sheridan, Technical Director of Industry Solutions and Manufacturing at Google Cloud, and with Jonathan Lewis, who is the General Manager of Manufacturing at Intel. Hello, Charlie and Jonathan. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Good to be here.
Hey, great to be here. Thank you for the invitation.
Thank you so much. So let's start with the conversation. Jonathan, what does the manufacturing business look at Intel right now?
It's definitely been a different environment since the pandemic started. I would say there's a lot of new challenges out in the industry happening. There was this natural trend towards software-defined industrial systems, moving from islands of automation to integrated systems. And, frankly, the pandemic really changed opened a lot of eyes to plant managers everywhere saying, hey, wait a minute, I've got to think differently because I've got essential workers in the manufacturing plant, and that's it. And I've got to figure out how to do remote operations and get data and keep the production running without necessarily being able to get on site as frequently as possible. So it's definitely bringing some different conversations into the fold, for sure.
Yeah, I would agree with that, Jonathan. I think if anything, it's really accelerated the adoption of some of the technologies like AI, for example, that let's say manufacturing maybe been a little bit hesitant to push, but with COVID, we definitely seen an acceleration in AI capabilities and technologies. And you're absolutely right. If you don't have people in the factory, how can you guarantee your quality? How can you guarantee your output? So we definitely seen an adoption of more AI and ML technologies right into the factory floor. So if anything, I think COVID has accelerated some of those technologies on the plant floor.
Yeah, and it's exciting to see some of the innovations that can happen when you apply, AI into the manufacturing plant itself, right? I mean, when you think of an aging workforce in the OT environment and the younger crowds coming from an IT environment, they're thinking differently and they're bringing in a different perspective than, let's say, the old guard of operational control engineers. And so it's really creating a whole lot of new perspectives in there about, how do you introduce new solutions faster in a traditional environment where you need safety and reliability and uptime? How do you innovate better? I mean, it's opening up a lot of opportunities, but it's creating a lot of brand new, if you will, problem statements of things that we can solve that might have been very, very difficult to solve in the past.
Yeah, I totally agree. And actually, coincidentally, and we can post the link afterwards, we just completed a very interesting report on AI in manufacturing. And, a couple of the key takeaways that came out of that report, almost 2/3 of manufacturers, roughly 64%, said they now rely on AI to assist in day-to-day operations. Mm-hmm. So it's starting to get traction in the marketplace. And the sort of top areas where they're seeing it is quality inspection, just like what we said. And I think that's a really interesting use case. Supply chain management, risk management, and then product or production line quality checks and inventory management. So they're the sort of top areas that we're seeing this deployment. And of course, for this to work effectively, you really need a good infrastructure solution, right, where you can actually run and deploy your AI and ML models. And I think that's where the interesting combination of Google and Intel, Google Cloud and Intel can work together, because having that OT-IT convergence is extremely important.
Yeah, I agree completely. I think when you think of the devices to the edge to the cloud, it's all becoming intertwined in even bigger ways than it was historically. I mean, we've had the connected internet of things for a while now, but I think when you start thinking from a manufacturing point of view, adding real-time elements, adding functional safety, adding time determinism or real-time type activities up into that edge to cloud type perspective, it really allows flexibility and agility for work streams to be consolidated or converged. to really manage your automation and different perspectives, to put automation in different places. And I think going back to that AI perspective, Charlie, I think the most important thing I'm seeing is not necessarily just modeling and getting inference engines and insights out of the activities that you're trying to measure, but it's also being able to close that loop and take action to improve the operations or improve capabilities. So it's that action that comes from the AI that really goes back and feeds into the control algorithms. That's the real amazing thing to me is being able to put things that might have been quality assurance might have been done offline, out of line of the manufacturing line. And then they would go back and try and adjust the control line. And now with AI, you're able to actually put that right in line in the manufacturing and make adjustments on the fly, which is making huge economic benefits relative to manufacturing quality and cost savings and productivity.
Yeah, I totally agree, and it gets quite interesting. I mean, when you take a look at it from that edge to cloud continuum, right, where you want to be deploying these models on the edge, but also you want to be doing continuous learning. So there's this constant virtuous circle from the edge to the cloud with the models, continue to ratify in the cloud, pushing that back down. So how you do that, I think, is really, really interesting. And this is where I think a lot of innovation will come in the future. And as you say, bringing that control loops and integrating the AI ML models right in at the machine level, I think is a really, really interesting area for the future.
Yeah, I think some of the things that I've actually published a couple papers years ago on neural networks inside of some mining operations, and it was kind of interesting how using AI or deep learning in that type of environment, it was able to pick up on process upsets that no human could possibly detect, because sometimes the input to output time was 20 minutes or 30 minutes between you put an input and then get a reaction. It was causing no human to be able to really see how the control loop was going to get out of control. And so a neural network was put on there, and it was applying a little bit of deep learning into it, and it was able to detect and avoid process upsets minutes before the process actually went out of control. So I think the cool thing is not just about quality or assurance or anything, but also actually being able to push the envelope of what your process is able to do manufacturing wise. And AI has actually helped give the confidence to a plant manager or control engineer to be able to really move into, let's say, throughput domains that they might have said, hey, I got to run a little more conservatively because a process upset is very, very bad for us. So it is pushing the ability to get productivity out the door too.
Yeah, exactly. And if you think about it, I mean, there's been lots of incremental gains over the last number of years in manufacturing, but really there hasn't been a massive step change. And we really think that AI will be that next evolution for manufacturing productivity gains. And that's where I think the big opportunity is. I mean, another report that we can share as well. I mean, basically the amount of value in unlocking that machine level data is huge. We estimate around $100 billion plus. We can show you guys the report for that afterwards. Really, really interesting. So there's a huge amount of value in this data, and that data basically will help accelerate operations over the future. And we really think that's the next big leap in manufacturing evolution, where you bring that AI technology right onto the factory floor. So that's very exciting. And again, having the right infrastructure layer is going to be very, very important, so that gets deployed in a seamless fashion.
Yeah, I think the thing that I've seen a lot of times is as people have grown interest in deploying AI, a lot of people are coming to us and saying, hey, I'm no AI expert, I'm no deep learning expert, I'm I don't really need or have the expertise in my organization. How do I get started, right? And I think this is where collaborations with Intel and Google and getting the right partners in there to help those manufacturing plants automate those things is really important. And so from silicon all the way up to cloud, you've got to have a good developer experience to be able to deploy these technologies without necessarily becoming an expert in programming, Python or something like
Absolutely.
that. So I think that's a big aspect of this, and we've put a lot of time into making sure that the power of this AI and deep learning perspective can be implemented relatively easy. So you can extract something very powerful, but yet something relatively simple to implement with the right tools.
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, I can see a view in the future where every engineer is an ML AI engineer, right? So you got to have that. It's got to be a very simple low-code implementation, right? And that's where over time you'll continue to build up reference models of different artifacts and different machines, and you'll learn, and the system will continue to learn over time. I mean, that's where it gets really exciting.
Yeah, and I think what I've seen also is people are starting to be a little more forward thinking with their infrastructure choices, right? As let's say industrial servers, industrial PCs on the factory floor run to the end of their life, and they start thinking about upgrading. What I'm seeing actually is they're starting to think about it differently now as well, going, hey, I have this state machine that's supposed to do this function, but I think I need to add some extra horsepower, reserve some power for some future AI or ML that I'm not sure I've figured that out yet, but I've got to bring that into the conversation now and future-proof, if you will, some of those infrastructure upgrades, right, that they have from a hardware point of view to kind of make it, let's say, AI ready. I think that's an important part of the consideration. And it helps bring that out, right? Because I think the performance at the edge, the performance at the cloud is getting better and better as we go relative to latencies, and it's just kind of opening up all kinds of new opportunities for business intelligence as well as operational intelligence. Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, that's where it's all going to converge in the future. But yeah, great point, Jonathan, on the forward thinking in terms of the optimized hardware infrastructure. That's going to be really, really important. And that's one thing that we like to embrace is the open technology, right? So using platforms like Kubernetes, which makes it easy to deploy those ML models right onto the edge, I think is going to be really important.
Yeah. Virtualizing environments with manageability, orchestration, throw out the time-sensitive networking type aspect, add some real time in there, and you've got all the ingredients to really make a very powerful architecture. And I think the exciting thing for me is watching the industry kind of take and embrace these technologies and just kind of do some amazing new breakthroughs in the business environment and the manufacturing environment as well.
Yep, totally agree.
Yep.
And Charlie and Jonathan, I want to say thank you very much. And with that conversation, I would like to close. There is something that is super important at Google Cloud and Intel. We can help our customers with optimization. Our customers can come to us. We can help them with benchmarks. We can help them with the proof of concepts on the Google Cloud platforms. We can also help them to connect their solutions from the edge to the cloud. They just need to contact us on the button that it's on the page. And obviously, they can also look at our solutions at cloud.google.com/Intel. We can help them with every single engineering optimization, with solutions for cloud to edge, and with many other things. If there is nothing else, I just want to say thank you so much, everyone, for listening.
Thank you, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.